Lately, we are usually being exposed to terribly uncommon discussion regarding LGBT issue. The difficulty is not solely on social media, however, it is to the purpose of being debated on television. For your information, LGBT issue that is taboo to be mentioned in public. However, it is not simply being discussed. Many people are marching and demonstrating the LGBT issue that very worrisome nowadays. In addition, LGBT is a community which consists of lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender.
From Surah Al-A'raf, verse 80 to 81. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولوطا إذ قال لقومه أتأتون الفاحشة ما سبقكم بها من أحد من العالمين إنكم لتأتون الرجال شهوة من دون النساء بل أنتم قوم مسرفون.
Tadabbur ayat Surah Al-A'raf verse 80. The Prophet Lut, who was a nephew of the Prophet Abraham, accompanied his uncle as he moved away from Iraq. Lut sojourned to Syria, Palestine and Egypt for a while and gained practical experience of preaching his message. Later, God bestowed prophethood upon him and assigned to him the mission of reforming his misguided people. At that time, the people of Sodom were immersed in sinful deeds, forbidden things and fahisha practices which they did themselves and were never done by anyone from among the children of Adam or by anyone. That is, it comes to the male type, not the female type, which is homosexual. This act was something that the children of Adam had never done, unknown and never planted in their hearts to do other than inhabitants of Sodom. May the curse of Allah be upon them. Next is Tadabbur ayat Surah Al-A'raf verse 81. They refused the woman God created for them, then they returned to the man. This is an act of outrage and ignorance against oneself, because such an act means putting something out of place.
In Malaysia, the issue of transsexual is considered a phenomenon complex because it involves a variety of factors including biological issues, psychological, environmental, and social of those involved. In general, society image of the group these transsexual tend to be masculine or women who are masculine and often associated with homosexuality, lesbian, gay. A study of the LGBT group found that 65% of transgender make prostitution activity one of the pointers. 25% of them are involved with nightclub and others, while only about 10% are not involved with similar activity. Business sector. Those involved with LGBT are divided into two groups: primary, patients in need of treatment from a psychiatrist, and those who struggle to demand human rights to defend the group. Thus, this group is labeled as dividing from the norm of society and is often marginalized. Due to this factor, they are fighting to demand that society accept and recognize their net presence.
Based on the diagnosis of psychiatric disorders on many patients, describing psychosexual disorders or sexual abnormalities is actually a disorder in the sexual aspect caused by psychiatric factors that include, among others, first, sexual dysfunction that is not caused by organic disorders or diseases, but rather behavioral syndromes related to physiological disorders and physical factors. Second, gender identity disorders, which include personality disorders and adult behavior.
LGBT in the Islamic view is a form of sexual perversion that was once committed by the people of the Prophet Lut. Thus, LGBT activity is forbidden to Muslims because it is a form of evil. Besides that, this act is also an act of fahisha. There are also those who say that the act is an act of adultery. Based on the interpretation of the Quran, Kagel said that homosexuality is due to a divine will, so it has no rational choice in their inner tendency to be attracted to same-sex couples. Sexual orientation is also known to be an integral aspect of human personality. There are also interpretations that look at the story of the Prophet Lut on same-sex relationship that reflect social culture and medical science to the society that produced the interpretation.